About 1 million people in the US suffer from bipolar disorder, and that is only what's reported. 4.3% of women struggle with anxiety and depression. And again, that's only what's reported. And I estimate a lot of that has to do with the stigmas that surround mental health illness and what people experience, and that people just don't understand and aren't educated. People who have migraines or strokes, that's accepted around the neurological state of the brain, but with mental health, it's just not yet understood. We see in our culture this fight or flight situation. Everybody's running around like their heads are cut off. There's more to do, I want more. For us women, we often are doing it all. Cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, making sure our kids are happy, dropping them off at activities after school, also holding a 50-hour plus work week, and now teaching our children. It's too much, it's unsustainable, and it's a lot like what happens with mania. It's unsustainable, so our experience is shared. Eventually, we tend to see people get to that point where they can't sustain it anymore, and they crash. Cortisol goes up, inflammatory disease may go up, we may see autoimmune disorders, we may see people falling into, some sort of depressive state or addiction, alcoholism, or anything else, because the body and the brain just can't do it anymore. That experience of high and then low is very much similar to what I suffer from with bipolar disorder. My goal is to work with my therapist and my psychiatrist to feel and reduce those excess mania and excess depressive, because it's just not comfortable, it's not sustainable. But our culture, in some ways, induces this stuff. My story is excessive. Mania drove a majority of what happened in my life. I didn't know until I was 44 years old that I actually had bipolar. So I think a lot of people spend their life with some of these challenges and they never know they lived or had that problem. I did well in high school. I had one suicide attempt, but didn't ever let anybody know. I was trying to escape from a dangerous space at my home. I went to college. I decided I wanted to do it all. I didn't need anybody. I wouldn't rely on anyone ever again. I signed up for ROTC, carried about 22 credit hours a semester, and when I graduated, I was commissioned to the US Army because it was responsible and then I wouldn't need anybody. A few of my jobs in the military were interesting and so representative of who I am. One was a company commander. I was company command of a 180 soldier unit because that's what you have to do, obviously. I also took a role as operations commander for all medical ops for an entire post of Fort Huachuca. Again, why? But I thought that's what you're supposed to do. It was the only way I could love myself was through success, and the only way I thought I was lovable was through success. When I left the military, I went straight to my master's degree here in Colorado. I then got my doctorate while I was working full-time. Then we had our children, and then life went on. After our second child, things sort of went downhill. I started to feel this engine in my chest. I call it the freight train. I didn't feel well. It started to feel like I wasn't fully in control of myself, but I didn't ask for help, because why? I was fine. I started 2 startups. During that time, while working full-time and raising 2 kids, my husband traveled a ton, but I could do it. It was fine. Finally, I found Nurture, which is my company that I have started with 2 amazing people, focused on self-care here in Denver. I'll explain the irony later. We stand here now after one significant psychotic break and a more recent depressive break that happened. But I'm still here. The suicide attempts didn't work, and I'm still here. I want to say my husband, my psychiatrist, and my psychologist saved my life. It was the only way that I could really be sitting or standing in this red circle. You don't know how excited I am that I'm here today. My therapist has taught me a lot of exciting things that I never knew how to do. The first being boundaries, and I want to say that first because when you live in a codependent situation a lot of your life, you don't know what boundaries are. You just don't know how. You want to please everybody. It's been a really fun journey, and it will be a lifelong education. Next is self-love. For so long, that laundry list of things, you do more than most people do at 11 a.m. You're always working all the time. Why? How can you do all that? Marathons, blah, blah, blah. Everybody used to be so excited about that stuff. I didn't love myself. I was running away from it. She says, love yourself like you love your child. If you can't get there yet, do that. The other thing is self-care. It's hard to even identify. What is that? In my worldview, it should not even be a name. It should just be part of our world and our lives, but it isn't. It's looked down upon sometimes. It's shameful. It's selfish, which is nuts, but it's how sometimes people think. We've been conditioned to. To me, self-care can be a lot of things. First and foremost, if we don't focus on our wellness, we will have to focus on our illness. That is a profound statement that she helps me understand. I see self-care now in so many different ways than I used to. Self-care equals things that aren't productive. Taking a walk in nature. Nature feeds your soul. Enjoying music, just sitting and listening to music. I love music. I go to live music, but I didn't really think about could I just sit down and listen to it. Books and reading are magic to get into something else that isn't in your head. How fun. And fun and laughter and joy. That isn't a waste of time. That is part of the human experience. And if we can basically tap into that richness, our lives change forever. Unconditional love. I've learned finally to surround myself and only maintain the relationships in my life that are focused on self-care, unconditional love. If I don't live in relationship with unconditional love, I'm constantly pleasing, I'm going right back to the codependent lifestyle, and I'm done with it. It will put me in the grave. Love. If we can think, as Christy was saying earlier, that we are connected by our hearts, that is everything. To our planet, to one another. We share an experience. It doesn't mean that it has to be bipolar, depressive, manic, whatever it is. We have a shared experience as humanity, and it's important that we don't think about the fact that, oh, somebody has this label, or somebody has this label, or somebody's not good enough. We are all good enough as we are. I send love to you. You are not alone. You are in community all the time. Thank you.
Nikki Doherty. I got the last name there. Yay! Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. I think you know Daphne and I both are extremely passionate about mental health issues. As a social worker trained and as a state legislator, focusing on health. You speak to yourself.
Focusing on mental health and making sure that we all have access to the appropriate levels of care so that we can find out before we're 44 that we might be struggling with something so intense.
Yeah.
And to get the help that we need. I just couldn't value your talk more.
Yeah. Thank you for the vulnerability
Thank
to
you.
come share your story with us and the audience. Really important that we have this message and that we share, right? So people know they're not alone as they suffer through these issues. So honors to you.
Thank you.
Question? We want to know about nurture. So tell us about nurture.
So Nurture is a 23,000 square foot mind, body, health, and wellness collective. It's in the Highlands. And we basically support humanity, right? Everybody in there is an individual business. All of them are outstanding practitioners doing wonderful things. I feel so honored to be in their midst. And when you come in, it is our hope that people feel held. The cafe is all clean local food, beautifully prepared so it tastes good. We have fitness and other wellness stuff, but really it's the heart is the people. It's the people.
Lovely.
Amazing.
So we want to encourage our audience to look up Nurture on the website and